An individual's disability is only partly his own. The rest lies in how others treat him or how he makes them treat him. This is a truth recognized by one of the most remarkable organizations for handicapped people operating anywhere in the world today. It's CIL, the Center for Independent Living, that's run from what was once a garage and parking lot in downtown Berkeley, California. At first sight, the center contains little but a number of cramped and untidy offices, staffed by a number of noticeably handicapped people. But the people in the offices are at the heart of a process of providing and administrating a formidable range of services for the many thousands of disabled people who live in the area. Deaf, dumb, blind, paraplegic, spastic, every kind of handicapped person is helped to live his or her own life. And the handicapped people helped in this way live at home. No one lives at CIL. Assistant Director of the project is Judy Heumann, herself a lifelong sufferer from polio.
Ostensibly, CIL is here to provide services to people who live in our community, services to allow people to move about the community as they wish and to partake in the community as they wish. But in providing those services, we also enable people to become more political. We enable people to begin to protect for themselves the gains that we've made as a group of people. Basic things like if we find that a government agency is considering cutting back funds that are positively impacting on us, we can call disabled people and they'll come out because it's something that we have taken as a right. You know, it is a right for us to be able to get attendance. If you try to take that right away from us, we're going to fight you on it. Well, because so many people now are partaking of that right, there are more people who will come out and fight for that.
The Center for Independent Living was founded on the campus of the University of California in the early 60s, when a group of disabled students banded together to improve their own living and working conditions. At this time, radicalism was very much in the air, and Berkeley was a focus for undergraduate activists. Today at CIL, the radical spirit persists.
Disabled people are only going to get in this country what is ours by not taking positions which are weak. I think that unless we believe in ourselves and then can articulate that belief, there are too many people out there now who feel that it's too expensive to make the kinds of changes that need to be made, or we're going too quickly, and if we would just take a little bit of time, everything would come our way. And my opinion is you do whatever you have to do in order to get what you want, because, I mean, get what you want is kind of an inappropriate phrase. I think get what we believe is legally and rightfully ours. I don't think that disabled people in this country are asking for anything which is not rightfully ours. The right to a free, appropriate education and appropriate housing and the ability to get a job, the ability to get trained to get the job that we feel is most appropriate for ourselves, on and on and on. Those are just equal rights. Because of the attitudes and the resulting discriminations that have existed in this country, disabled people, I think, still are afraid of sometimes speaking out too much because they're afraid of getting taken away from us, the little which we have.
The amount of practical help provided by CIL for handicapped people is impressive. It ranges from a comprehensive wheelchair repair service to an almost instant ramp building facility. If a disabled person finds somewhere to live but has problems of access, CIL employs its own carpenters to help.
Now you know what this is for, right? Can you see the mirror of the building frame?
In the same way, the centre runs a transportation scheme for physically handicapped people living in the vicinity of Berkeley. Specially adapted buses are always available. There's also a very positive attitude towards finding accommodation for the handicapped and in the provision of attendance to assist them.
We say, if you're disabled and you want to live with another disabled person, that's your right. If you want to live with another non-disabled person, that's your right. You want to live in a house, we'll try to find you a house. You want a 2-bedroom apartment, we'll try to help you find a 2-bedroom apartment. And these are the places where you can go to make your place accessible. And here is how you can apply for money to get attendance paid for. And here is where you can come when you want a list of attendants. And basically what CIL has wound up doing is looking at a person, breaking down needs of people, and providing services to meet those needs.
So I'll be back in a while. I'll see you later.
So
okay?
it does away with the need for the residential program. Now, the residential programs serve a very limited number of people, and I think that's real important to look at. You spend millions of dollars in this country to build a complex to serve 100 people. Once you've spent, I just saw a program recently that cost $18 million to house 100 people. And there was no money there for services. So here you had $18 million. God, if we had $18 million, what we could do with $18 million here to provide direct services. How many houses and how many apartments could we renovate with $18 million? We could renovate half of Berkeley for $18 million.
You will not move your cane. It will just rise with your arm as you climb the steps. Why don't you go ahead and give it a try? That looks good.
Many of CIL's programs are orthodox and can be found anywhere in the West. Others are more innovatory.
In our program, we will put down the 130 read input records. Right? This would be the name that we referenced that paragraph throughout the program from now on. There's no checking done for duplicate members. All right? And
This class of students studying to be computer programmers contains blind and deaf and dumb people, as well as other handicaps. The deaf and dumb have their own interpreter. The blind use braille machines or dictaphones.
Read mod is a member name, but how they're handled with CMS, unique to CMS, is that it will take the first member that it finds. Somebody want to take a guess at what library name is for? Take a guess, Fred. Okay, library name is the file name of a macro library. If the file exists, it must have a file type of MacLab.
I think that was one of the ones that said that you can't compare literals.
In this classroom in the same college, both instructor on her back and pupil are disabled.
File typing section should not begin merging. What I'd like you to do, Lou, is to go through this list.
Perhaps most impressive is CIL's attitude that even the most severely handicapped people can be encouraged to live independently. In this living skills class, there are people who in many countries would be in hospital, and there's one man in an iron lung.
How about up here? Start up here.
Everything that I did was a project, see.
I want to see a feisty group of disabled people all around the world. I mean, a group of people who will not accept no without asking why. And people who will think and respect themselves a lot and will gain that respect from others because they respect themselves. I think that's really what's so critical about CIL is that, you know, it's not a card that you get handed at the door, but it is kind of a demand that is expected of people in this community. And that is, if you don't respect yourself and if you don't demand what you believe in for yourself, you're not going to get it.
The CIL message on disability is spelled out loud and clear. The Kids Project works in the schools among ordinary primary children. Handicapped people, here they're deaf and dumb, talk to classes through an interpreter.
That's why today I'm using an interpreter sitting back there, Nikki. If a person is hard of hearing, sometimes I can read their lips even better.
Does anybody have any questions real quick before we stop today? Do you have a question?
She's kind of like my voice. And she's also...
But perhaps CIL's message, not just for children, is most universally expressed by one of their staff who's also a professional actress. It's particularly apposite for International Year of Disabled People.
Actually, there is a long tradition of disabled performers. Beggars, fools, freaks at a carnival sideshow. They all earn their living by performing. But the excitement of the performance was in the hump on the back, the withered arm, the scarred face. I'm not a performing cripple. I'm limited on the stage by my limp. But there are many ways I can move, and you wouldn't know I was disabled. And if I concentrate very hard, I can sometimes walk without a limp. Silence. Did you notice? Did anyone notice my limp? But why should I hide it? I am disabled. It's just that you're not comfortable seeing me on stage. But theater is supposed to reflect life. And life is more than conventional beauty. It's normal to be disabled. 70% of all people will become disabled sometime during their lives. We're the largest minority in the world. We exist. We won't be ignored now. We have the right to work at what we're good at. The world has to change a little bit to let us in. The cripples are coming out of hiding.